Woo! Okay, can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Oh, great. That technical part worked. Hey, I just want to give a real quick shout out to Diana, who's on now. Diana, thank you for being so excited. You logged on 15 minutes early today and saw that the link didn't work. I really appreciate your enthusiasm and helping everyone to get a new link. So thank you.
Always terrified of Zoom errors because I'm not as familiar with Zoom. So I always log on super early, and this time it helped out. So
awesome. Well, yay. So welcome to the Power of Emotional Wellness in the Workplace. Before we dive in, if I haven't met you before, let's meet. I want to be your best friend. So my name is Leah. I am the founder of The Perk. We are a premier leadership coaching, training, and development studio. And our mission here at The Perk is to build the world's best leaders. So all the companies we work with, all the programs that we offer are really with that intention to build the world's best leaders. And there's a lot of people who do similar work to what we do, but nobody does it how we do it. And so how we do it here at The Perk, we make it fun, we make it human, we make it safe, we make it different, and we make it last. So I spend my days as a certified life leadership and executive coach, a company culture consultant, and as an outsourced chief people and culture officer. And I was trying to think of a fun fact to share with all of you. And so many of you have probably heard this before because I don't have a ton of fun facts about me, but I was on The Price is Right several years ago. I actually made it onto Contestants Row and I won a lamp. So I have it here in my office. I can send a picture out for everyone, but that's a little fun fact about me. Yay, Price is Right. All right, so some housekeeping items before we jump into the content. First, screens on. If we're talking about emotional wellness today, if you feel emotionally up for it today, usually I'm like, everyone have their screens on, let's go. I want to see your faces, and I really do. But if you don't emotionally feel up to it today, or you're not in a place where you can have your screen on, that's okay. I'm so glad that you're here. The other thing I want you to do, use the chat. Please use the chat. Celebrate each other, ask questions, all that good stuff. I do have members of my team here who will be looking at the chat and can kind of call it out when there's questions in there and things like that. And last but not least, I really want you to indulge in today. Give yourself the gift of this space, of this time. This is time for you to learn, grow, and develop, to get out of your comfort zone, to be present, to connect with the other people on this call, and to have some fun. So, permission to have fun. Who's ready to have fun? Woohoo! Yay! Everyone. And speaking of fun, here at The Perk, we love confetti, we love celebrating. And so I want you to take a moment to just check in with yourself, reflect, what is one thing that you are celebrating right now? Write it down on a piece of paper, put it in the chat. Somebody can call out something they're celebrating right now. I'd love to hear it. Ooh, Troy is throwing confetti, literally. Who has something they're celebrating right now? And when I'm looking over here, if you see me looking this way, it's because you're all on this screen over here. I haven't, like, just so you know, I'm not Facebooking my friends over here. I'm looking at your faces. Who has something they're celebrating?
There's a lot in the chat, Leah. There's a lot of celebrating going on in the chat. Birthdays, new job, new teammates, working from home, summer, new teammates all over the place. That's so awesome.
Love it. Great. Well, thank you for sharing those confettis with us. So why are we here today, my friends? We are here to learn about emotional wellness in the workplace. But why? Why is this something that we're talking about? The reason why is because the skills that you need as a leader are very different. The skills you need today are very different than the ones that you needed 5 years ago. And research actually shows that the skills that you need to confidently and effectively lead your team now are communication skills, coaching skills, and employee well-being skills. And emotional well-being is an essential element of employee well-being. And so that's why we're talking about this. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about emotional well-being, what it is, why it's important in the workplace, what affects it. We're going to then talk about a tool that you can use to own your personal well-being, and then also how to level up your team's emotional well-being. So, oh, and we're also here to connect with each other. We're here for some learning, growth, and development, and we're here for some fun. Okay, ready to go? Let's do it. So let's start out by calling a spade a spade. Life and work are full of challenges and circumstances that are out of our control. Please raise your hand if in the past year you have faced a challenge. Okay, raise your hand if you faced a challenge and you had no idea what to do. Yep. Raise your hand if you have felt totally out of control at some point in the last year. Double hands. Raise your hand if you are facing a challenge right now that you have no idea what to do or you feel totally out of control with. Yes. And raise your hand if in the past year you have overcome a challenge. Yes. We are so united by our challenges. We are united by the fact that we are all dealing with global challenges that all of us are a part of, and we all have our own individual personal challenges as well. We are united by the fact that at times we all feel powerless, we all feel defeated, we all feel out of control, and we all feel triumphant. So the past few years have been weird, right? On so many global stages, we have been living in a time of uncertainty. And during times of uncertainty, there's an increase in worry, stress, and anxiety, which directly affects our emotional well-being. So our emotional health, it's affected by individual experiences, social interactions, the work environment, environmental factors, and cultural norms, all of which, everything on that list, all of which have been totally disrupted in the past couple of years. And so while our emotional well-being has always been important, and you can see over here on the right, it's all, or I don't know if it's your left or your right, but over here in this image, it's always been an important part of our overall well-being. It's more important than ever right now. And so we need to take this time to understand it, to take care of ourselves, and also to help others to have positive emotional health at this time. So let's start with what it is. What am I even talking about when I say emotional well-being? Here is the definition from the National Center for Emotional Wellness. So they're kind of a credible source on this topic. So what they say emotional well-being is, it is an awareness, an understanding, and an acceptance of your emotions. And it's your ability to manage effectively through challenges and change. So ultimately, your emotional well-being, it is your ability to emotionally cope with challenges in a healthy and productive way. What am I not saying when I talk about emotional well-being? Emotional well-being does not mean that you are happy all of the time, and it does not mean that you are trying to be happy all of the time. When you're emotionally well, you are aware of your emotions. You can name them. You can handle your range of emotions, whether they're positive emotions or negative emotions. When you're emotionally well, you still feel stressed, you still feel angry, you still feel sad. I'm sorry, those emotions just don't go away. We're always going to have those, we're human, but you know how to manage and appropriately express those negative feelings. And a really important element of being an emotionally well individual is you know when a problem is more than you can handle on your own. You're okay waving the white flag or raising your hand and saying, I need help. So when you're emotionally well, it doesn't mean you handle everything on your own. It means you know when something is too much and you ask for help. You seek it from a friend, a teammate, a leader, a coach, a therapist, or a doctor, or somebody else in your support circle. And so when we're talking about emotional well-being, again, it's not about being happy all the time. And all emotions, every emotion that you have is important. And there's this fascinating study that was done by Barbara Fredrickson, who's a leading researcher in positive psychology. And she found that people actually flourish when they have at least a 3-to-1 ratio of positive to negative emotions. And so in her study, the positive emotions, she was looking at our gratitude, interest, contentment, things like that. And then the negative emotions were things like anger, guilt, and embarrassment. So what she found is emotionally well individuals have a ratio of at least 3 positive emotions to every 1 negative. So you're not emotionally well if it's just 1-to-1. And so maybe you're thinking, okay, that makes sense. I need 3-to-1. Why don't I just work really hard to get a ratio of 50-to-1? Then I'm going to be super emotionally well, right? Well, what she found in her study is that actually when the ratio hits 11 positive emotions to every 1 negative emotion, it actually starts to do more harm than good. And we slip into this space of self-delusion, which is not great. And so she has this term, which I love. It's appropriate negativity. And so she says appropriate negativity is essential for our emotional well-being. Our negative emotions are good. They serve us. They offer us feedback on our performance. They lead to self-improvement. They lead to change. So emotionally well, 3-to-1, or at least 3-to-1, not emotionally well is when you hit that 11-to-1 ratio. And so again, some attributes of emotionally well individuals: you're resilient, you're self-aware, you accept a wide range of feelings in yourself and in others. You're adaptable, you're confident, and you maintain a positive approach to life. So tell me, my friends, I'm going to ask for more hand raises. Your arm's going to get really tired today. Raise your hand if you want this, if you want to be a resilient individual, if you want to be self-aware, if you want to be adaptable, if you want to be confident, if you want to maintain a positive approach to life. Yeah, right? What about your teammates? Who wants to work on a team surrounded by people who have resilience, who are self-aware, who are adaptable to change, who are confident, who maintain a positive approach? Yeah. It'd be a lot harder if nobody raised their hand. Just saying that. So why are we talking about this in the workplace? Why is emotional well-being important in the workplace? So honestly, emotionally well employees and teams is really simple. They're higher performing. Research, science, all of it shows that attributes of emotionally well employees and teams they have higher levels of engagement and motivation. They have increased curiosity, creativity, and innovation. They have stronger collaboration and connection. They're more tolerant of ambiguity and adaptable to change. And when you have an emotionally well team, your team is more effortlessly able to bounce back from setbacks. Or as we like to say in the coaching world, this is a fun thing, we bounce forward from setbacks. So it's a cool coaching term you can all take with you, bounce forward. Then also in this big, massive study, if anyone's interested in this stuff, I love reading these like big, boring reports, but I will send it to you. But here's a quote that I pulled from this one that I really loved. And it said, the ability of a company to excel in the marketplace, to quickly adapt to change, or to be innovative requires its people to be physically, mentally, and emotionally healthy. In the past few years, we've seen that the companies that have excelled, the companies that have survived, the companies that have taken things to the next level, they have been the ones that have been adaptable to change. Their people have been adaptable to change. Their people have been innovative. And so for you to continue, for your company to continue to survive and excel, you need to make sure that you're focusing on your people's and your team's emotional well-being so that they can continue to be adaptable and innovative. Let's also look at some numbers. I received an email a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if anyone else reads Josh Berson's stuff, but I'm on his newsletter list, and this comes from Gallup. But so here's some numbers around emotional well-being as well. There's $322 billion of turnover and lost productivity costs globally due to employee burnout. 75% of medical costs accrued from mostly preventable conditions, and 15 to 20% of total payroll in voluntary turnover costs on average due to burnout. So it's not just about feelings, like it also hits our bottom lines at our companies as well. So that's a little bit about what emotional well-being is, why it's important in the workplace, and what affects it. Now, before we jump into how like having a tool to own our personal emotional well-being, let me check in with the group. How are people feeling right now? What's coming up for people? It's okay if nothing. Okay, we ready to rock? Keep going? All right. So now let's talk about the how. Now that we know what emotional well-being is, we know it's important. How do we do it? How do we own our own emotional well-being? We own it with the help of a super tool that is called the thought model. Who here has done work with the thought model before? Yes. Anyone who's a coaching client of mine is like, yes, Leah, we do the thought model. This is the first tool that I teach in all of my coaching relationships because it is that incredible. It is that powerful. It is something that I use myself on a daily basis, multiple times a day. And I encourage all of my clients, all of my leaders to use this multiple times a day on a daily basis. So the thought model is so amazing because it helps you positively improve your emotional awareness, your emotional understanding, your emotional acceptance, management, and overall well-being. And using this tool, it helps you to face any challenge or circumstance that comes your way with confidence and ease. So let's look at the thought model. Here it is. I did not make it up. I wish I did. because it's so fantastic, but it is actually derived from cognitive behavioral psychology. And what the thought model teaches us is we have circumstances in our life and in our work that are out of our control. We are not in control of those circumstances. And we have thoughts about those circumstances that drive the way in which we feel, that drive the things that we do, that ultimately drive our results. So if you don't like the way that you feel about something, about a situation, about a person, about a relationship, anything, if you don't like the way you feel about something, you need to pull it back to your thoughts, because your thoughts are driving the way in which you feel. If you don't like the results that you're getting in your life or in your work, you need to pull it back to your thoughts. Because your thoughts are ultimately what's driving your feelings, driving your actions, and creating your reality, creating your results. So you are not in control of the circumstance, the things that happen in your work and life, but you are in control of your thoughts. And your thoughts drive your feelings, which is where your emotional well-being lives. So if you want to start taking care of your emotional well-being and owning it, you need to start looking at the thoughts that you're having about the circumstances in your life and work. So we're talking about the feelings line. This is where emotional well-being is, but we need to pull it back to our thoughts. And so we're going to work through this. I'm going to give you an example. We're going to work through one together so you can see how you can use this tool in your life. And there are 4 steps that you follow to use this tool to own your emotional well-being. You don't have to memorize these. We're going to go through them again. But step number 1, you first become aware of your feelings. And so this requires you to feel your feelings. You have to become aware of your feelings and name what you're feeling. Then we're going to use the thought model to understand the thoughts that are causing our feelings. Then step 3, we get curious. We try on a different thought when you're ready. I have in here, using the thought model does not mean that you don't feel your feelings. I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying, oh, just use this tool and you never have to feel your feelings. No, all of this requires you to feel the feels. And then step number 4 is we make a choice and take action. So let me give you a personal example. Circumstance, I have been laid off. So yeah, so this is a personal example. This is something that happened to me several years ago. I was laid off, and I was on maternity leave. And so I tuned into how I was feeling, become aware of my feelings, name my feelings. And when this happened, I was feeling really scared. I was feeling really anxious. I was feeling defeated. I was feeling hopeless. I was feeling ashamed. I was feeling embarrassed. You know, I guess I should preface, we had a reduction in force. So there's a lot of people laid off. So it wasn't like I did something really wrong, but still I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I didn't know what to do. And so that's how I was feeling about this circumstance. And the thoughts, I pull it back to my thoughts. What was I thinking about being laid off that were causing me to feel the way I was feeling? And the thoughts that I was having about being laid off is I was thinking, you know, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Dan, who's on the call, my husband, I called him, you know, after this happened, and I told him, you know, meet me at a bar. I sat with him and I said, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. This is a huge roadblock. You know, at the time, Dan had just started his own business. And so we went from being totally fine and secure with my income and my insurance to all of a sudden we have no insurance, we have no income, we have a newborn. Like, what are we going to do? And so these were the thoughts I was having about this thing that had happened to me. And I was feeling scared, anxious, defeated, worried, hopeless, powerless, all that. And so the actions, the things that I was doing from this place was nothing. I was paralyzed. I was paralyzed with fear. There was inaction. There was nothing happening. And so had I stayed in this place, the results that were possible for me was that, you know, if I'm not doing anything, if I'm paralyzed by fear, I'm not going to get a new job. And if I don't get a job, we'll probably have to leave our home. I'd probably have to move in with my in-laws, who are lovely, lovely people, but not what I wanted for my life. And my confidence would be totally destroyed. Again, I was feeling so ashamed. I was feeling so embarrassed. So step 3 of using the thought model is choose a different thought after you feel your feels, obviously. So I called my sister and I told her, I said, Gwen, you know, I've been laid off. I said, this is a huge roadblock. I'm so screwed. I don't know what to do. And my sister said to me, she said, Leah, what if this isn't a roadblock? What if this is a catapult? What if this was meant to happen to you to help you get to where you want to go in life faster and with more velocity, or whatever physics term she used, than you ever thought possible? And I thought, that's a nice way to look at it. I kind of like that. And when I met Dan at the bar and I said, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, Dan said to me, he said, what if this is the best thing that's ever happened to you? What if this is the best thing that's ever happened to us? And I thought, that is an interesting perspective. So I tried on those thoughts. I tried on, okay, the circumstance is the same. It hasn't changed. I've been laid off. But now I'm thinking, this isn't a roadblock. This is a catapult. What if this is the best thing that's ever happened to me? I literally have goosebumps right now, like rethinking this time. So with these thoughts about the same circumstance, the way that I felt, the way that I'm feeling right now about it, I felt excited, inspired, activated. The actions that were possible from this place, same circumstance, different thoughts, different feelings, the actions, this is a shout out to my friends over at Dream Bank. I dreamed fearlessly. I got clear on what I actually wanted to do. And what I actually wanted to do was start the business that I had been dreaming of starting for years. And so the results that were possible for me from this place was to become an entrepreneur, to start and run the Perk, to live a life and run a business that is more aligned with my values and live my dreams. Yeah. So guess which route I took? It's probably pretty obvious since we're here today, but it's all about making a choice and taking action. I could have stayed in the place of this is a roadblock and this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. I could have chose those thoughts. I could have stayed there. Or I could choose those different thoughts. And this gives you like, this is showing like, oh, there's two different paths. There's a million different paths. There's a million different thoughts that you can choose on any circumstance. And one thing I want to note about the circumstance, the circumstances in our life and in our work that we don't have control over, the circumstance itself is emotionless. It's a fact. I have been laid off. That is a fact. It just is what it is. It is our thoughts about the circumstances that trigger our feelings. And so that is why people can feel completely differently about the exact same situation, because we have different thoughts about that situation that are driving our feelings. So we're going to go through an example together, but I want to check in with people. What is this sparking for you?
Leah, this is really sparking a lot for me. It's so, I don't want to say that it's simple, but it is. It's like changing the thought. And I'm going through my own stuff that I've been thinking about over the past year and how I could have shifted very easily into that. And it's interesting. The thing that keeps coming up for me is I'm usually the person that speaks that into other people. But when it's me, I typically maybe default to a negative, or I default to kind of being in that mode. But with somebody else, I'm the light and I'm the encouragement. So I'm interested to understand maybe why I'm so quick to apply that to other people, but not to my own circumstances.
Yeah, it's a great reflection. Great self-awareness too.
Leah, I had a very similar circumstance where I lost my job that I was at for 5 years in my security, and I jumped right back into entrepreneurship as well and layered on things, and happier than I've ever been.
That's awesome.
Leah, I want to just say it's amazing to me how things happen for a purpose. And, you know, I lost my job also. And like a month after I lost my job, I found Culture Community, and it like paved a different path for me. And now I'm gainfully employed and happy because I waited for the job that I wanted. And so took 2 years, but I don't know, interesting to see how paths are intended to cross.
Yeah. And yes, we did pay Troy $150 to say that about Culture Community. so everyone knows. Okay, let's work through an example together. The circumstance is that your boss asks you to take a lead role on a project that you don't have experience with. So let's say you tune in with yourself, you become aware of your feelings. You're feeling inadequate. You're feeling not confident. You're feeling scared. You're feeling anxious. You're like, okay, whew, these are a lot of feelings. What are my thoughts? What am I thinking right now? And so the thoughts that you realize you're having are, you don't have enough experience for this. Who do you think you are? It's all that really fun imposter syndrome coming out, right? And so the actions you might take from this place, maybe you turn down the project. Maybe you're like, you know what? I just don't feel confident. I'm scared. I can't do it. And the results that are possible are maybe your career stalls. Maybe you feel lousy about yourself. Maybe you don't get the experience that you crave because ultimately you want to do more, but these thoughts that you're having are making you feel inadequate and not confident. So step 3, get curious and try on a different thought. Who has an idea? What's a different thought that you could have about this circumstance?
I'm really excited to learn something new.
Ooh, great. So the thought is, I'm really excited to learn something new. What feelings might be created with that thought?
Excitement.
Excitement. Annie, I saw you unmute. Did you have an idea too?
Same feeling. I was thinking just the excitement comes to curiosity, which perhaps is more of an action, like getting curious. But that
You
was
would feel curious. Yeah, you feel excited. You feel curious.
I think part of it too is recognizing that somebody might see something in yourself that you're capable of doing that you may not yet realize.
Yeah. So what actions might you take? Feeling excited, feeling curious. I'm excited
Asking
to
a lot of
learn.
questions.
Actions, you get curious, you ask a lot of questions. What else?
do some learning, do some research. What do I need? Who and what do I need, right, to make this succeed?
Yeah. What are the possible results?
You might surprise yourself and be really great at the task that was given to you.
You might fail
You might fail.
We
and
all
learn.
might succeed, right? Like,
Yeah. And it's really interesting because results can then become your new circumstance. So if you fail, what are the thoughts you're having about that failure? Is it, I'm so stupid? Or is it, okay, what can I learn from this? Yes. One thing I do want to note too is that it is possible, if you have a negative thought line and you have a positive thought line, it's possible to get the same results. Like, for example, if I'm like, okay, the circumstance is I'm giving a talk at Culture Community. The results might both be like, the talk went great. But I could either go down a path where I feel excited and I feel curious and I feel, inspired, or I could make myself feel like crap and worry and stress. So I do want to say that it is possible to get the same results, but it's all about how do you want to feel as you go about achieving those results, which is your emotional well-being. So let's do another example all together. We'll do two different thought lines. So, okay, the circumstance is I'm going to miss my deadline. You know it. I'm sure no one on this call has ever had this circumstance in their life. You've committed to something, things have changed, you can't make your deadline. What is a possible thought you could have about this circumstance? Don't all talk at once, you'll all get a turn.
I think panic is just kind of panic and kind of have a deer in the headlights feeling.
Okay, so feeling is you're panicking, deer in the headlights. What are some thoughts that could be happening that are causing you to feel panicky and like a deer in headlights?
I would have felt like I've let people down.
Let people down. You haven't even failed yet and you're already letting people down.
My thoughts
you-
would involve swear words.
Okay, thoughts or swear words? What
In the
other?
chat-
Yeah.
Yeah, in the chat, we have frustrated or asking like, what do I tell my boss?
Yep.
I also think it depends on how your leadership has reacted to you in the past.
You're really good at spiraling. I feel like I'm going to miss a deadline, ends up in I'm going to lose my job. Like I feel like that panic comes from this like I don't meet a deadline or I don't do what I'm supposed to do and I lose my job.
So maybe your thoughts like, I'm gonna lose my job. I saw somebody get yelled at last time they missed their deadline. I'm gonna get yelled at. You feel panicky, you feel like a deer in headlights, you feel like you let people down, you feel frustrated. What are some actions you might take from this place?
So is it bad if I jump right to actions, and my actions would be notify my client, my customer, my team, and just say, hey, this is going to be delayed? No, nothing, I have no answers as to how to fix it. So apparently I'm a bad person. Could I skip the first two?
First of all, you are not a bad person, but I will say that, so in the coaching that I do with leaders, it's so funny because everyone wants to skip the feelings. They want to skip the thoughts and the feelings. They want to go to action results. Like, okay, here's the circumstance. I'm not getting my results. Okay, let me change the things that I'm doing. But ultimately, we need to pull it back to our thoughts and our feelings because those are a huge part of this. So, Vicki, you are not a bad person. You are, all of my clients like that. And I feel like it's, I don't know what it is. Maybe we are trained to be like, okay, when we're not getting the results we want, let's just change our actions. Let's just do something differently. We need to take that time to pull it back to our thoughts and our feelings. Thank you for bringing that up, Vicki. I love that. Okay, so actions are notify my clients, notify my team, let them know I'm going to miss the deadline. What else might you do?
Ask for help.
Ask for help. What else might you do?
One thing I've really always kept in mind too is the concept of worrying is a waste of time because it's just spending time thinking about things that may not even happen.
Dan Rowe, is it you that talks about worry as a rocking chair? Or did you take that from, or did I make that up?
I did tell you that, but I misquoted a movie and changed it all around, but the concept is still there. No.
He said like worry's like a rocking chair. I think it's, is it Ron Swanson that says it? Anyways, but it's like, it's something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere.
It's now a Dan Rowe official quote.
It's like, yeah. Yeah, it's like when Michael Scott quotes Wayne Gretzky or whatever. Okay, and so what are the possible results then from this place? You know, your thoughts were, I'm going to lose my job, like I might get yelled at, you're feeling panic, you're feeling fear, you're feeling deer in headlights, you're gonna let people down, you're feeling frustrated. And so some actions you might, you know, tell your clients or tell your team that it's gonna have, ask for help. It's also possible that you don't do anything. I see this a lot where it just like the deadline comes up and it's like, I knew I was going to miss it, but I was too nervous to say anything. So I didn't.
I think for me, whenever I'm in that position, taking accountability makes me feel better. And I feel like it helps other people feel more reassured that it's being handled at least.
So tell me, what's a totally different thought? What's a totally different thought you could have about missing a deadline?
Maybe things will have a different outcome if I take more time to think about a different approach to the problem.
Yeah, what if your thought is like, what if I don't miss my deadline? What if I do something different? That's possible. What's a different thought?
What if you miss a deadline for a good reason? Like maybe you needed to miss a deadline because something important came up at work or in your personal life. And it also shows that you may need to have more of a personal life balance.
I actually like to call it creative delay.
Creative delay. Love that.
I you're getting to spend more time on something else. Like by missing a deadline, you're getting that gift of spending time on something else.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say that too. It might challenge you to reprioritize what you're working on. Like maybe that deadline was unrealistic. I don't know if that's a negative thought, but maybe it's like, man, that just wasn't attainable in this time frame. So I'm just going to, change the scope of the benchmarks moving forward or something like that. So you don't get yourself in that tight spot again.
Yeah. Maybe this is a systemic issue on your team where all of these deadlines are unrealistic. So maybe it's, this is an opportunity for me to have a conversation with my boss about how we are setting ourselves up for failure. So the reason why I love the thought model is because it puts you in the driver's seat. Again, there's circumstances in our life and our work that are out of our control. And as humans, we love to be in control. So the thought model shows you that there are many possibilities. There are many different ways to look at a situation that drive your feelings, that drive your actions, that drive your results. So it gives you the power of choice and it moves you to action. In my personal example of where, when I was like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me, like I was in a state of inaction and the circumstance never changed, but I changed the way I thought about it. I changed the way I looked at it, which caused different feelings for me and it moved me to action. So I didn't stay in that paralysis place. I moved to action. I started the business. And so I want to talk about a few tips for step number 3, which is getting curious and trying on a different thought, because this is where I see most people have where you're the most challenged with this. It's really easy to be like, okay, I'm aware of my feelings. I'm naming them. I don't like the way that I feel. Okay, these are the thoughts I'm having that are causing my feelings. Got it. But like, now what? Like, how do I change my perspective on this? Which is what we're talking about, is changing your perspective. And my favorite quote, about perspective shifting, and one that I use all the time, is from Dr. Wayne Dyer. And he says, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. It's so simple. It's so powerful. It's so true. And so one of the things that, one of the reasons why people work with a coach, why I love coaching, is I help my clients to look at things differently. How do we, here's the circumstance, but like, let's walk all the way around it. Let's explore it. I like to think of it like a house that has a bunch of windows, and one window is the perspective that you're looking through, but that's not the only window of the house. Take a step back, realize there are a million other windows you can look at or look out of. So go to a different window, see what the view is from that window. And so step number 3, getting curious and trying out a different thought. At the root of curiosity is asking questions. So ask yourself questions in order to shake things up in your head, to try on some new perspectives. So here's just a list of, some of my go-to questions. For some people, just asking what's one other way to look at this, just giving yourself permission that there is another way to look at this situation is enough. You could ask, what if the opposite of this is true? What would my mentor or hero do? Shirzad Chamine, who is the author of Positive Intelligence, he talks about how everything can be turned into a gift and opportunity, which I really love. And so you could ask yourself, what is the gift and opportunity here? Or you could have fun with it. How would a 5-year-old look at this situation? How would my dog look at this situation? And so I'd love to hear from you with the thought model. In what ways do you envision using this tool? Or if you've worked with it before, how do you use it in your life? Please speak, otherwise I have to call my team and they really don't want me to do that.
So I'm moving pretty soon and I'm not entirely happy with the couch that I have. And so I went to Steinhafels the other day and I was like, do I want to go to an oversized chair? Do I want to get a sofa so I can have more people? How much do I want to spend on it? I slept on it overnight and I actually did use this thought model of, okay, it's money versus comfort. It's my comfort versus everyone else that comes to visit. It's the space I have. And I kind of really thought about what's going to be the best thing that's going to be for me by the end of this and the outcome. And so I actually used this thought model without even knowing this existed. This was brilliant.
Yeah, there you go.
So for me, just the simplicity of try on a different thought. Again, I know that's very basic, but you're really speaking directly to me when you talk about that paralysis. Like I'm very task oriented. And when I'm in my mode and one little thing is not doesn't go as planned, or something gets bumped on the calendar, or I'm asked to do something kind of on the fly, it really kind of throws me into a very just not negative, but just in a panicked state. And I don't stop myself and think about any of this stuff. I just kind of continue to go. And I'm just seeing how this could show up in my daily life. And I'm actually going to put on my wall in front of me, try on a different thought, because to me, just having those tools to kind of shift out of that mindset is just so important. So it's such a simple shift, but for me, I could tell that's going to be a game changer in just my daily decision making.
Yeah. And it's really, you know, this framework is so great too, because again, Laura, that's awesome that you like just automatically did it. The framework is really helpful to get it out of your body and your mind and see it in a structured way, so you can understand like, okay, this is what's causing me to feel this way. Got it. Like, you know, it really helps you to logically look at what's happening for you and make a choice. So here's some times that I recommend using the thought model when I use it. So anytime you have a circumstance where you don't like the way you feel about it. So for me, when I'm feeling anxious about something or scared or not confident, when I'm feeling a way that I don't love to feel, I'll do a thought model to understand what's causing those feelings for me. When you don't like the results that you're getting at work or in your life, in any area, if you don't like the results, do a thought model, understand what is causing those results. And when there are results that are really important to you, do a proactive thought model. This is a circumstance. These are the results I want to hit. Okay. How do I need to feel as I'm going about these results? What are the thoughts I need to have about this situation to feel that way? And what do I need to do? And also just a suggestion, write down the thoughts that you're having and get curious with them. Don't judge yourself. So when you notice, when you're doing a thought model, you're like, okay, these are the thoughts I'm having about this circumstance. Don't judge yourself. Don't be like, gosh, you're such a bad person for having those thoughts. Just get it out there. Get curious with it. Okay, so that is a thought model. That is how to own your own personal emotional well-being. Now let's talk about how you can help your team, how you can level up your team's emotional well-being. Because remember, all of these really good things that happen when we have emotionally well teams. And so just like culture, your team's emotional well-being, it has to be co-owned. It is not just on us as individuals when we're part of a team and an organization. We have to co-own it with the other members of our team and with our leaders. And if you are a leader, you play a big role in this, in helping your team to be emotionally well. So there's two different things I want to talk about to level up your team's emotional well-being. The first is create a culture of emotional safety. And the second one, you already know, we're just going to apply it in a different way, is to use the thought model. So first, create a culture of emotional safety. Your companies, your team, your emotional health culture that you have right now, it consists of unwritten rules on what emotions to share, how to share emotions, how often you can share emotions, when to share emotions, why you share emotions. And all of this, because of the pandemic, because of everything else that's happened over the past few years, it's most likely changed dramatically in the past couple of years. And so it's time for us to reevaluate as a team and as a company to write some new rules. So as a team, I want you to focus on creating a culture where it's safe to talk about your feelings, to explore your feelings, to ask for help with your feelings, and creating a culture where it's safe to talk about your feelings without judgment, knowing that the other person on your team or your leader isn't going to judge you and that you're not going to judge your team for talking to you about their feelings. And if you are a leader, as a leader, it's really important when creating a culture of emotional safety that you model it by being vulnerable. Share how you're feeling. Share when you're not feeling confident about a situation, or you're unsure, or you're having anxiety. And also model vulnerability by asking for help when you don't like the way that you're thinking about a circumstance or feeling about a circumstance. Because ultimately, everyone has feelings, right? We're humans. As humans, we have emotions, we have feelings. And if our cultures are not safe for people to talk about their feelings, then people are not going to feel seen. They're not going to feel heard. They're not going to feel valued. And when you ignore the fact that your people at your organization have feelings, it's neglecting them. And feelings of neglect in the workplace are not great. because when you feel neglected in the workplace, this leads to decreased motivation, poor morale, inconsistent performance, disconnection, distrust, turnover, a whole bunch of not good stuff. Raise your hand if you want these things in your organization. You want these things in your organization? Steph, no, we're not going to have this at the perk.
No,
So-
I was just making sure everybody was paying attention, Leah.
I appreciate it. Okay, so this is how we create a culture of emotional safety. Now, the second thing you can do to help your team with their emotional well-being is to use the thought model together as a team. So as a team, when you don't feel great about a circumstance or you're not getting the results that you want, that is a time to use a thought model. When you notice a teammate is not feeling great, don't ignore it. Don't ignore it. Use a thought model. Do a thought model with them. Help them understand what are the thoughts that they're having that are causing them to feel this way, and how can you help shift that perspective? So, first one, when you don't feel great about a circumstance or results as a team, do a thought model so you can become aware of how everyone is feeling, and also what thoughts different team members are having that are leading to your current results. It's really interesting. I've when I do coaching with teams, you know, there'll be a result or a circumstance like we're not hitting our sales goal. And if we do a thought model, some people on the team will be like, the thoughts that I'm having about this are like, we can do this. Absolutely. This is totally within our control. Like, we can crush it. And then there's other members of the team that are like, we will never hit this goal. This is completely unrealistic. And when you have people on a team who are thinking totally different about that circumstance, just think about the different actions that are, the different feelings, the different actions that are being taken. And so how are you going to hit this collective result if everyone is thinking and feeling and working about it in a different way? So come together as a team, look at the circumstance, hitting our sales goal, for example, get curious and ask, what is in our control here? What's the gift and opportunity? What if we got curious with this? What possibilities exist? What's the story that we want to tell about this circumstance? What's another way that we can all look at this challenge or circumstance? And then together as a team, you can make a choice and take action. Okay, this is our circumstance. This is how we as a team now are choosing to think about it. This is how we're feeling. These are the actions we're going to take, and these are the results that we're shooting for. And you might be like, Leah, that sounds like really nice in theory, but I don't think anyone actually does that. Let me give you some recent client examples, because people actually do use this with their teams. And I encourage all of my leaders that I coach to use this with their teams. So recent examples are some of the circumstances that they use a thought model on were quality control issues, a big client presentation they were doing. They were assigned a task they've never done before, a strained relationship with a manager, a team not hitting their goals, tension in the recruiting and hiring process, communication issues with another department, and sales rejections, to name a few. So you can also use the thought model to help level up your team's emotional well-being when you notice a teammate isn't feeling great. Again, don't ignore it. Check in on your team. Connect with them by getting curious and asking powerful questions. Show them the thought model. And you can say, you know, if we're to do a thought model right now, what would be on your feelings line? What feelings are you having right now? How do you feel about this circumstance? How are you choosing to look at it? What thoughts are you having? And then also remember, as a leader, especially, model emotional safety by asking for help. When you don't like the way you're feeling about a circumstance at work, ask for help. Say, I don't like the way I'm feeling about this. This is how I'm looking at it. Like, how are you looking at it? How are you feeling about this? And then also, the thought model is a really powerful tool to use so that you can show up as your best self on a daily basis for your team and for the other people in your life. Emotions, as I'm sure you all know, they can be very contagious. When you're on a meeting with someone and someone's super negative, it's real easy to just catch that negativity and go in there with them. And your words and behaviors matter. So we need to take responsibility for the energy that we're bringing to each and every meeting and interaction. And so I encourage all of my clients, I do this myself, before a meeting, especially one that's important, before a meeting, take a breath, take a beat, and do a thought model. How do you want to show up in that meeting? These are two questions I'm sure anyone who's worked with me before, I ask these questions a lot. I love these 2 questions, but this helps ground me before I go into a meeting or an interaction. What do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room? So after that meeting, what do you want them to say about you? And how do you want them to feel when you are? So before each meeting, take 5 minutes, do a thought model. The circumstance can be the meeting. Okay, how do you want to show up? What do you want people to say about you as a result of that meeting? How do you want them to feel when you're in the room with them? So in summary, my friends, remember, you are not in control of the circumstances in your life and your work, but you are in control of your thoughts. You are in control of your feelings, your actions, your results, and your emotional well-being. So you get to choose. And just because you get to choose what your thoughts are, that does not mean that it's easy. It is not super easy to get unstuck when you're stuck in a perspective, but it also doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. Become aware of when you're not feeling the way you want to feel. Get clear on what your thoughts are that are causing those feelings for you. Ask for help. Ask someone to help you look at it from another angle. Be gentle with yourself. This stuff it's not easy. Again, I use a thought model every single day and I'm still not an expert at it. It's really, it's a practice, always a practice. You did it. You made it through. Yay. So in coaching, if we don't commit to action, then it's just a really nice conversation, right? And especially here at Culture Community, something that we always say is you can't just consume content. You need to take it and put it into action in order to make a positive change in your workplace and in the world. So I want to know from you all, what is one thing that you're going to take from today? And not everyone has to share, but I want you to write it down on a piece of paper. What is one thing that you are going to commit to in the next 30 days? One thing you're taking from today, you're going to put into action to make positive change in your life, in your leadership, in your career, in your business in the next 30 days.
I'm going to print out that screenshot that's just got the blank thought model process and put it on my wall, because I think in different circumstances, it's great to keep it top of mind in order to be able to follow that path.
I think also in our follow-up email, correct me if I'm wrong, Dan and Emily, but we can send a digital download too of that, right? Great. So we can make that even easier for you, Laura. What's another commitment? Something you're going to put into action.
I'm also going to share it with all the teams I'm on.
Yeah.
I'm on a lot of teams.
Nice. It's great.
Leah, I really liked what you said about not ignoring the feelings of your team. I think I have, for me personally, I have a tendency when I'm having big feelings around something, I kind of just want to be with myself on those. So kind of finding that balance of knowing when somebody just needs to be in their feelings around something and when they might need this interaction. Also, shout out to Steph. So I have a new boss this year, new procedures, and I was in a situation where I was feeling very insecure and inadequate, and she pulled this up. We did all the things, went through all of it, and it was a game changer for me. So it works. I love it. I can't wait to share this with my team.
Yeah, I love it. And Corey, also, I love what you said, you know, like with the big feelings, sometimes you just want to be on your own with that. And so it's really like, just get curious with the people around you, because maybe the other people also feel that way, or maybe not. And maybe they're like screaming inside for someone to notice them and talk about those feelings.
Absolutely.
Who else has a commitment they want to share?
I would say try to apply this in a couple upcoming crucial conversations that I have to have.
Yes. Love some CCs, crucial convos, and Culture Community. Awesome. Okay. Well, my friends, get excited because I have a free exclusive offer for all of you. So I gave you some tips today for how to own your emotional well-being and also level up your teams, but I have more. so much of what I do with my clients in coaching is around emotional well-being. So I have some more tips. And so I have this email series that I do, Emotional Wellbeing, How to Optimize Your Emotional Wellbeing email series. And so it's 4 weekly tips. And so you can sign up. Dan will put the link in Slack. And also for anyone who signs up for this email series, we're going to pick one lucky winner and you get a 6-month free subscription of Kin Kin Coffee. Kin Kin Coffee is the greatest coffee in the entire world. My sister owns the roastery and her and I were fighting for 2 years and I had to literally sneak around town to buy this coffee because it is the best, but I could not let her know that I was buying her coffee. So it is truly the best coffee in the world. So if you sign up for this email series, you'll get an awesome tip for optimizing your emotional well-being once over the next 4 weeks. It's just 4 weeks. And then also you'll be entered to win a 6-month subscription of Kin Kin Coffee delivered directly to your house. And I love this quote. This makes me laugh so much. Sorry. We believe the greatest perk you can provide your team is an intentional, high-performing culture. Coffee, however, is a safe number 2. So it's a great perk, everyone.
Hey, Leah, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were not talking to your sister for 2 years, were you able to use the thought model to sort of rekindle that relationship?
You know what, Dan, honestly, I
love
didn't.
you, Dan.
That was such a good question. I didn't use the thought model I didn't know about the thought model. I wish I would have, but this is the same sister who gave me the, what if this isn't a roadblock, this is a catapult. And that was after we had gone through our stuff. So I wish I would have used the thought model because maybe her and I would have not talked for a little bit, but maybe we would have started talking before 2 years and I wouldn't have had to sneak around town and have people buy Kin Kin on my behalf.
There are 50 people probably on this call wondering who on earth wouldn't talk to Leah for 2 years.
And at next month's culture community, I'll bring my sister and you can interview her. No, I'm just kidding. All right, my friends, we ended a little bit early today, which is great. So I want to leave space for questions, for comments, for feelings. If anyone just wants to just feel their feels for the next 14 minutes, I'm fine with that.
I want to share something, and that is, as you use the thought model more and more, and I didn't know this thing that we're talking about was called a thought model until just now, but I've been sort of using it for a long time. The more you use it, the faster you move through like the yucky parts and get to the good stuff, I find.
Yeah.
I think it also helps you move past feeling like you're stuck in feelings or thoughts, and it helps you move quicker into action.
And you're
Right,
not
you get
always
out of the
afraid of the negative because you know you can get through it.
But I also want to reiterate again, the thought model does not mean you don't feel your feelings. Like you have to feel them to become aware, to name them. And also it's okay to not be like, it's okay to not shift your perspective right away. It's okay to sit in those feelings and process them. You need to process them. But a lot of times I'll teach this to leaders and they're like, awesome. So this is a way for me to not feel any of my feelings. Nope. That is actually not what this is. Feelings are good.
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts on this, Leah. It's good stuff. Like Dan, I've been using it a while too, just the last couple of years, but I mean, I'm 32 plus, or 32 years before that. I was very good at suppressing my emotions. I didn't even know what I was feeling, and I didn't want to know what I was feeling because I was afraid of what would happen. And so there's that kind of a person that for, this kind of situation, it takes time to unlearn that. I'm 2 years in. I became aware of this model because I started dating and now I'm married to this wonderful woman who's going to school to be a counselor, and she helped me with this stuff. But it's still 2 years later, I'm like, oh my gosh, all right, this is happening. I'm not even aware of it. That awareness piece alone, I think, takes the longest amount of time to change, like stop suppressing it and start paying attention to it. Yeah, so that's the one thing I will say. It's not a quick, oh, just take this tool and apply it.
Totally. And I will say one of the things too, so with feeling your feelings, which I could do maybe I'll do a talk on that one day, like a whole talk on like how to feel your feelings. But if that's an area where you're struggling with too, like that is also a big thing that I work on with clients through coaching. So that's like, that can be a part of coaching, that can be a part of therapy. But if you are having trouble processing your emotions on your own, that is a great time to work with a partner like a coach or a therapist who can sit with you and witness and be there while you process that. So don't feel like you have to process your emotions on your own either.
I was just going to share, I'm actually like, I feel like this is something that I've been really embracing a lot lately. Generally, but I come at it, I haven't always broken it down in the whole thought model, Leah, but just always asking the question of like, okay, what's in my control? Like I just start there of like, all right, whatever the circumstances, what is in my control? What can I do? But what's interesting is, as you talked through it today, Leah, like I think sometimes we're all good at applying it like certain circumstances. And then there's like a bucket of circumstances where it's like, we forget, we don't apply it across the board. I have a circumstance that's like pretty personal. Like I have really big feelings coming up. I lost my dad like 2.5 years ago. Then the pandemic hit. Then I had a baby. And like all of a sudden, like big grief feelings are showing up for me that's making work really difficult. And like, I haven't been applying this because I'm just like trying to just push it. Like, I'm like, there's no space. It's like just pushing it aside and realizing, oh, like I can own that at work too. Like I'm usually really good. I've shared with you guys in the past presentation, right? Like bring it all to work. You can't leave, and I do that. But this is one thing I haven't been bringing. And it's like, oh, I can ask for more help. Like, and I have to, like, the answer is feeling the feels, right? Like I have to feel the feels. And that means getting space, taking time off that I feel like I can't do right now. And so it's like, no, like I need to share it. And the answer is asking for more help, letting folks know what's going on. Even like, it's this weird, like, oh, it's been 2.5 years. My dad didn't just die, like, but it feels like because it's not recent, it's like, oh, forgotten. But yeah, it's like, wasn't applying it. And it's interesting. So I think I like challenge folks to think about like, oh, where are you, like, maybe it sounds like a lot of folks are doing this in their own way. And it's like, where are you not applying it? Because I think we're all really good at like, there's a bucket of things that you don't apply it to. And so for me today, I'm like, oh, I'm not applying this to like the one thing that's blocking my way right now. And I have to do that. So, and also throwing myself confetti for not completely losing it while sharing that with you. I wanted to share it earlier and I was like, I can't, but.
Yes, you can. Thank you for sharing.
But so that's my challenge to folks. It's like, yeah, where are you not applying it? Because I think we all, maybe we don't all do that, but like, there's always like some set of like things where you don't apply the things that you do, whether in work or at home. So yeah.
I love that question and that challenge.
I think it also helps people remember to talk to themselves like they would their best friend. Like stop being a jerk to yourself if you're not going to be a jerk to your friends.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's good advice.
Laura, you said you were going to post the model in front of you and stuff. And I work for an IT company. So the computer scientists are mostly very left-brained and not, they think creatively with code instead of other ways. And so I heard a quote a couple of weeks ago that I just made into a poster. It says, and I have it in front of me, it says, ignite, create, wait, I have it behind me. Ignite fearless creativity, because I didn't put it on the wall yet. And I said to my supervisor, I said, I can't be left-brained all the time. I have to be right-brained and think creatively. And with that, then like we developed an entirely new product and everyone's going with it. And so it's like, sometimes you just need to give yourself some graces and move forward in a different direction. So today is really helpful with that.
Yeah, I'm equally left-brained and right-brained. So I'm glad that all the different jobs and projects I have right now allow me to be both.
Yay, friends. Okay, I'm going to give you 7 minutes back in your day. What are you going to do with your 7 minutes? Two people can share. What are you going to do?
Take notes on what I just learned.
Great. Love it.
I'm going to do the 5. I have another meeting, so I'm going to take the 5 minutes to take some breaths and yeah.
Everyone go do a thought model right now, how you want to show up for the next or for the rest of the day. Yay. Okay. If you have any questions, if you need anything, I'll put my email in. Yes, I can share the slides. We will send out the recording as well. But yeah, email me, ping me.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm actually, here I go. I'm going to put my cell phone number in here too. Text me, call me, whatever you want. Yay. Okay. You all have an amazing day. I'm shaking my confetti jar for all of you. Yay. All right.
Thanks,
So
friends.
cool.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, everybody.